You might be wondering, how do Clorox, Canva, and YouTube go together? When it comes to today's guest, he's the one that keeps YouTube chats clean for everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but he does keep it clean for people like Nick Nimmin. That's right, we have Doug Hewson YT in the house today. Today, Doug and I are going to dive into a conversation about Canva and YouTube. And that's not all. We're actually going to answer your questions live today, too. We only have 45 minutes, so you better go ahead and start popping those questions in. If you want to have your question bumped up to the top of the list, leave a super chat. Let's join Jennifer live. That's me, by the way. I'm Jennifer. And then we'll bring Doug on. All right? Hi, we're live. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. And we're going to bring on Doug because if I can figure out how to bring on Doug. Here we go. Hello. Oh, wait, I got to unmute you. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
I'm here. Ready
Doug's
to
here.
go. Hello, everybody in the chat. How are you?
Do you recognize any of the names, Doug?
I should look at the chat. That would be helpful.
It would.
Yes, I see Chantel. I see. I think I saw Ernesto before the stream started. So hopefully
Yep, we've
Ernesto's
got
still
Ernesto.
around. There's some regulars from my live streams and my channel. So that's good. Make sure. Let everybody know. Share this out. Let people know that we're here and live right now.
All right. Doug's audio is low. Doug, do you want me to
Do you want me to? Can I?
Do you want to adjust it?
Let's have a look. Check 1, 2. I shall turn it up to there. Is that better?
Is that better, Chantel? Or do I need to
2.
lower mine some?
And
Let
if
us
so,
know.
If need be, I will push it up a bit more on the sliders. I turn myself up on StreamYard, so hopefully that helps.
All right. Just let us know, Chantel. All right. So that's a lot better, Chantel says.
2 thumbs
Awesome.
up. There we go. Excellent.
Donna thinks that you could be a bit louder still.
I'll just inch the slider up a little bit above where it should be, and we'll see how we go. I shouldn't distort because this Rodecaster Pro has a lot of tricks in the back end. There we go.
So the reason why I asked Doug to come on the show was because recently he signed up for Canva Pro, and I thought it would be very interesting to hear someone that was new to Canva Pro and their experiences. So Doug, my question for you is, what has been your favorite thing about using Canva Pro so far?
Just the fact, because I've been using Canva for the free version of Canva for probably 3, 4, maybe 5 years. I've lost track of time, but it's been a while. I've been using it for thumbnails on YouTube and different things for a while. But I've been doing that the whole time using the free. The free account is so powerful in itself. But recently, the last couple of months, I've upgraded to the Pro. And what I found, the first thing that's really good is I don't have to worry about looking for assets that are free and avoiding the paid assets like the images and the graphics and all the different things, because I do primarily thumbnails and channel art and YouTube sort of still images and design for, community posts and things like that. So being able to find assets I can just drop in quickly, apart from my own imported ones, just being able to use whatever I want on Canva without worrying about, do I have to pay for that bit, or there's no good images for what I'm looking for in the free category, but I can see what I would like. Some of the premium content is really good. So just having access to the premium content without having to give it a second thought, I think that's probably the number one reason for me for going with Pro. But some of the bonus features like removing background, just at a press of a button, that's helpful. I used to do that I used to bring my assets in with the background removed. I'd do it somewhere else in a different app just to get that done. So things like that in Canva are with the Pro, it's just yeah, as I said, it's no second thoughts to whether I can or cannot do something. I can just go ahead and use everything, which is awesome. There's no limitations.
Yeah. Do you know that you can also remove the background to videos within Canva too?
I heard that. I have heard that. Now I don't use the video feature that much. I've dabbled with it a little bit back when I was still on the free plan. But yeah, I had heard that was a feature. So that's really good. Because removing background from video is getting a lot more common. Some of the video editing software is now bringing in features like that. Like I edit in Final Cut myself, and they've just brought in a type of that, but it doesn't work as well as things like maybe even Canva probably works better than it, because there's a lot of provisos and the way that you have to film it to make it work properly. But if it just works out of the box, which I'm assuming it does, that's a great feature to have.
So Donna was saying for videos too, tell us more. So yeah, if you have a video that is under 90 seconds and you've got a main person on the screen, then you can tap the video, click edit video, and then there is a remove background option. Now, this does take a while, and if you're uploading your own footage, you have to wait for it to finish uploading before you can use that feature. But it is fantastic, and I've used it in several clips that are actually coming up in future videos, and I think I even used it in a couple clips that I might show today, but I'm not sure if they're in there or not. But yeah, it's just amazing. And again, the limit is 90 seconds. The original video has to be under 90 seconds. So this morning I was trying to work with one in the original video was 92 seconds. And I turned it down to 3 seconds to trim a 3-second portion. And then it said, oh, sorry, the original video is longer than 90 seconds.
Oh, no.
So I just went in and trimmed it, re-uploaded it so that it was less than 90 seconds and was able to remove the background. But yeah. All right, let's see. And you know what? I realized I forgot the most important question at the start. And I realized that because I did a poll, 6 people have voted. Do you know Doug Hewson? And somebody said not yet.
Not yet.
So I forgot to ask you, Doug.
Okay.
Who are you and what do you do? How long have you been using Canva? How long have you been doing YouTube? And all that.
Let me introduce myself then. My name is Doug Hewson. My YouTube channel, my primary YouTube channel at least, is Doug Hewson YT. And I talk about YouTube basically from the point of view of tools. So I did do a video on Canva many years ago, but I talk about tools that you can use for YouTube. But I also focus on YouTube as a platform itself and all the features that you get in the back end and a lot of the new things that YouTube are bringing out. So a lot of my content recently has been about that sort of thing, like shorts features and different things like that. So very much related to YouTube. But do look at software from time to time that is useful for making content and talk about that as well. But primarily, everything is very much YouTube and creator focused. And so, I go with the flow. Sometimes people ask for, hey, how do I do this? And I do a lot of tutorials on how to do something in the back end of YouTube or how to, do ABC in some software. So that style of video. And sometimes we drop a little bit of YouTube news as well, just to spice things up a bit. But I do have a couple other channels, but the main one that's related to what we're talking about is I just started a mobile channel late last year where I do everything related to YouTube, but for mobile creators. So I talk about what you can do on an iPhone or an Android phone in regards to the YouTube apps and the studio apps and live streaming and editing and different things like that. So that one's going a little slow. I mainly focus on my main channel, which is this one, which we're slowly creeping towards 10,000 subscribers. It's trickling. They're trickling in. It's going a little slower than I'd like, but that's okay. Oh, there goes the light.
Well, I opened up Canva. I was trying to type something and chat with my Stream Deck, and I hit the wrong button. So
I've been on YouTube because I haven't finished.
Yeah,
I have been on YouTube for probably at least 7 or 8 years. I think this channel is probably around the 6 or 7 year mark. I did some other things beforehand before I started this channel. And I've been using Canva since probably the early times of this channel. I first started trying to do my thumbnails in GIMP and I wasn't real good. And then when I found Canva, that's when I started, getting the thumbnail game a little better over time. Start off with some templates and away you go. So for Canva, I have been a long time user of the free side, and now we're rolling that out to now I'm on the Pro as of the last month or two.
take a look at this comment.
Okay, which one am I looking at? Oh, the highlighted one? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No spanners.
Well, I said I might have to fix that,
We go.
but I don't want to throw a wrench at Chantel unless she would want it. But yeah, if we have to take care of some problems, I will take care of it.
I guess we should address that too. That I do a lot of YouTube live stream moderation on a lot of. Well, not as many as I used to. It's quieting down a bit, but certainly, as you mentioned in the start, moderating for Nick Nimmin every Saturday. So that's a pretty regular thing. Chantel is one of my co-mods over there, and a bunch of other channels as they come on. A lot of people in the YouTube education space, particularly, and a bunch of others who in the early days just there's Doug, let's make him a mod. And so it's just sort of snowballed from there.
I'm throwing a wrench at Chantel because she offered.
There you go. There you go.
Just in case. I mean, you never know.
You never know.
Oh.
Hey, you could have a very unassuming live stream, and then you never know who might discover it, because YouTube is a discovery platform, and anybody could wander into your live stream, so you got to be ready.
Absolutely. Yeah, one time I had a spammer sneak in, said some things that I didn't catch were not appropriate, because it just went over my head. But thankfully, someone that I do have as a moderator was in there and recognized the lingo and immediately took care of it. And they were like, Jennifer, you might want to slow your roll on featuring this person, because they're not saying nice things. You just don't know it. But yeah. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Someone asked a question right before we went live, and they asked us, is it worth upgrading to Canva's paid tiers? I know what my answer is, but I'm curious what your answer is.
I think it is. Like, don't get me wrong, the free account is very powerful. Like, I went years just on the free account and got by with that. So, and that's all well and good, but I realized that the content and the features, and they were rolling out so many features that I can't keep up. I'm sure you can, but I don't keep up with all the Canva features that are coming out, and just all the features, and just having everything available. I think it's worth the monthly or the annual fee, whichever way you decide to go. It's so far I've been enjoying the freedom of having Canva Pro. So for me, it's a thumbs up.
Yeah, for me, I save so much time with what Doug said, with not having to search through or filter through to try to find free templates, free images, free videos, graphics, etc.
Yeah.
But also the fact that I use an external video editor. I do use Canva sometimes, but I can download PNGs without a background, so I don't have to chroma key things out. And it's just been really, really helpful. And the newest Canva Pro feature that I just have been using the mess out of is that you can download videos, multiple videos individually at one time. So I can go and select like 20, 30 different B-roll clips and download them individually and then put them into my video editor. And it's just much quicker than downloading 30 individual, clicking share, download, checking on the right page and all of that. And that has saved me so much time.
Yeah. Anything that saves time is worth the money. Anything that gets you creating and getting things up quicker, without cutting corners, of course. But if it saves time, if it's a time saver, that's where a lot of all the new AI tools, and I know even Canva has some AI things being released and tested and so forth. But some of those, it's there for time saving. It's not there to replace creators. It's there to assist creators in getting their job done quicker, making it easier for them so that they can, concentrate on whether it's, concentrating on scripting or filming or, the other things that they have to do in the back end or doing the business side of YouTube or whatever it is. Anything that saves time is worth the money. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Now, iCast Enterprises reminded me of something. He reminded me of this. If you're finding value in today's live stream, I want you to tappity tap that like button. That's right. Go ahead, click it. I appreciate it. It lets me know that you want more live streams like this one. All right. So yeah, just go ahead and hit that like button. And the next question I have for you, Doug, is what is a hidden gem that you have found within Canva that you don't hear people talking about?
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great one. I have Canva on a tab right now just so that I can go and dive in and refresh myself on some of these features. Now, I primarily do a lot like thumbnails, probably my number one thing that I do. And then I do, just some general graphics that I use in, social media and different things like that. But particularly in going pro now, you sort of unlock a lot of the new features. And one of the ones that I've been dabbling with is the text to image, which is an AI tool.
Love it.
And it's interesting. It's it doesn't always come up with what you think it's going to come up with. It's a very unique, and I think it still needs a lot of work. But I think there's something about it that's going to once it's refined, because obviously it's like, Mid-Journey and different things like that. It's where you put in a description, give me a picture of, a man looking up into space and the moon is a donut or something like that. And you have in your mind what it should look like. And sometimes it comes up with something completely different. But it's interesting that it comes up with those, very unique things, but there are some limitations to it. Like, I think with a lot of those AI software, does weird things with people's hands. If there's people involved, it doesn't do fingers. It does like too many fingers or not enough fingers. It joins fingers. It's a bit crazy, but I think that there's a lot of potential there, and that's sort of like a hidden gem that I've found recently since I've gone pro. So that's the one I'm going to mention for this question, at least. Because that's the one I've probably dabbled with the most. and it's just sort of sitting there, just sort of in as a semi beta, I guess, and it's eye opening, and it's very different to what you're sort of used to when you're using Canva. So I have some of those images now sitting in my my file there, various landscapes and people and various styles. So yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good in time.
So you said what you said. And now I'm going to show everybody because you said what you said. Of course, I had to go into Canva
That's
and I
it.
had to type in man looking up at space, and there's a donut where the moon is.
I just made that up. I'm interested to see what it looks like.
Let's go share the screen here. And let's give a wider screen. No, that doesn't do a wider screen. That's fine.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So then there's that one. And this one didn't give a donut.
Oh, no.
This one gave, it looks more like a pretzel nut.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, how
bagel.
It is a bagel. It's interesting how it's all from the same perspective. They're looking from behind the gentleman looking up into the sky. And I don't think they're all, some of them all look daytime than nighttime. But there's no stars per se, but I guess it depends on the prompt as well. But
we're going to try it in the style of color pencil.
Oh yeah, the styles are interesting too. I was sort of surprised by some of them. You get very stylized. Oh, it's very Picasso-y. That's Picasso.
Yeah, I think I could probably type in like style of Picasso and it might do it a little better. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, it's a little hard to see on this. I have done a tutorial on text to image, but over on the left-hand side, let's see if we can just make it a little bigger. Over on the left-hand side, there's an app and you can type in text to image at the top. And that's where that is. But yep. So absolutely, text to image is fun. I've not found a real way to incorporate it really into like YouTube. But I think that some of them would be fun, like if you added a transparency to it and like used it as the background of something, like if you were doing a quote post or something like that on YouTube community tab.
Yeah, I did that very thing about a week ago. One of the when I announced my channel memberships, I did a community post and I did like a welcome to memberships, little square, because the YouTube community posts, I like the square aspect ratio, and so I did like a landscape, and so I just put it behind the text, and it was just an AI generated landscape. It was just like a desert. The river going through the desert, a man looking over the landscape. I don't know why I used that particular one, but it looked pretty good, and so I thought, oh, I'll use that. So yeah, I've used image in sort of that capacity at least. I have tried to come up with things for thumbnails, and they haven't always sort of looked the way I want them to look. So I, pass on them. But I think it'll get better over time.
Oh, I think so. It's gotten better since it first came out, because when it first came out, you didn't have all the styles. You had to input the styles kind of yourself. And now they're styles. So I anticipate it will only get better. And, like they could do things like do text to video where you describe a video. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud that might be something that they would do in the future. And I saw something about text to audio. I don't know that it was called that within the apps that I've got to sort of investigate, but I think it's more or less connected to an external program where you have to have an account with an external program and then it connects into with Canva. But I've not had a chance to really dive into that. But that would be really cool, I think, for YouTubers to create their own AI music for their videos without necessarily worry of copyright or content ID. Not sure how that really would work. But yep, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, when it gets to the area of copyright, it can be a bit hairy. So hopefully these companies who are, generating AI music and things like that are not sampling or being, influenced too much by somebody else's copyrighted work. So then, otherwise there could be a lot of lawsuits coming in, people suing people and claiming work that they've very much copied. So we'll see how that goes. So hopefully everybody does their due diligence.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to give us like 15. I'm going to give you like 15 seconds to think about it while I play something.
Okay.
And the question is, if someone's new to Canva or someone's new to YouTube, either one, what are your rookie tips? Like, what's your top tip for someone that's new to the YouTube space and maybe even that's using Canva? But we do have a lot of YouTubers, and since you're a YouTube expert, so think on it, and we'll be right back. Quick question for you. Do you use Canva for your YouTube channel? Let me know in the chat how you use Canva for your YouTube channel. I'd love to know. All right. You had a few seconds to take a drink of water. What you got for us?
My first tip would be to keep it simple. So this is an interesting one because to keep it simple means don't overcomplicate things, especially when you're starting off on YouTube. And making videos is a new thing. There's a lot of skills involved that are required to be learnt and to be picked up and to be practiced. So when you start off, don't try to overextend yourself to make a award-winning documentary or something like that, or a Mr. Beast style video or anything like that. Just start off with your authentic self and record yourself. Use the best mic that you've got. Use the best camera that you have with you. Don't try and overdo the expense from the gear point of view. Don't try and overdo the skills. Stay with your skill level. Start with something simple where it's just you and the camera. Record the things, very basic edits, and start with that. Over time, you'll learn techniques that you'll be able to incorporate, and tools like Canva, different things like that you'll be able to utilize to skill up over time. There'll be apps and editing software and different things that you'll be able to onboard and learn. And then over time, it's a learning process. It's not the very first video is very rarely a banger video or knock out of the park, a home run video. It's going to be just something that's going to be probably in its rawest form. So don't despise that, or don't think that that's not enough. But that's enough to start with. Start with what you have. Start by putting out something that's just simple, that's not overproduced, and then over time you will learn skills that will be able to improve your content, improve the messaging, improve the editing, improve the filming, and then when you start maybe making a few dollars on YouTube, whether it's through AdSense or fan funding or something, you can start to put that into things that you might need, like subscriptions to Canva or cameras, lighting, stuff to live stream, microphones. It can get if you really get into it, it can get a little bit gear heavy. So you want to just start with something simple like a phone. The cameras on these phones, like this is a Google Pixel 7, so that has an awesome camera. I've got an iPhone 13 Pro, has an awesome camera. Like if I had that, that's better than the Handycam that I started my channel with. Way better. So in this day and age, you've got a whole studio in your pocket. Basically, you can if that's all you have, you can edit, you can live stream from this, you can record your video, cut it up, upload it to YouTube, all from your mobile device. So this is all you need to start. So, and most people have a phone these days. It's like probably, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of people would have a phone that they can just go ahead and record and get their things up. So it's just start simple and just grow from there over time. Just keep putting in the work, learning skills. There'll be editing skills. There'll be figuring out how to make your audio sound better. There'll be figuring how to be better on camera over time. Figuring out how to go outside and maybe record while walking the dog down the street, and learning how to vlog, learning how to hold your camera, all sorts of things. There's all these skills, and then there's all the skills that you would want to put into the back end of YouTube, like learning all about how to do a good thumbnail and a good title so that your video can be found, all the discoverability side of things that we put into it. We've got the content, we've got the thumbnails and the title, how to choose better topics to talk about. There's so many things that you can go into, and YouTube can get so deep, but make sure you always start off simple. So that would be my number one tip: start simple. That's
Simple.
a long way of saying that.
I mean, your first videos will be your worst videos, but you can't get to your better videos unless you create those worst videos first. Absolutely.
You got to do the thing to get better at the thing. So whether it's like playing a sport, if you don't practice dunking the basketball, or you don't practice kicking a goal in soccer, if you don't practice hitting the ball with the bat, you're not going to get good enough. You're not going to make this the any sort of league, let alone the major league. So practice makes perfect, as the old saying goes.
I'm just gonna throw out something that Adam asked a question in chat, asking if we've brought up, or I've brought up, the new Canva affiliate change. And I'll be honest, I have not, and I don't want to go into that topic in today's stream. And the reason why I have not discussed it is because it is something that really weighs on me. And when I do speak on it, I want to make sure that I have the right words and I'm not speaking out of anger or frustration.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about that for today. I feel like that's the more professional way to go about it, rather than just go out of the gate like.
Yeah. I don't know enough about it. Like, I've heard secondhand, so I haven't read any of that, and I haven't been in the affiliate space for Canva, so it's not something that I've sort of got direct link with at the moment, or have a first-hand knowledge. So yeah, but what I've heard, it's a little bit concerning.
But I will say, just some information that I know is that they are coming up with some new programs. I don't know what that entails. That's another reason why I'm just sort of holding off on giving my opinion about it, because I don't have all that information. So that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be like if YouTube made a big decision, they announced a big decision, and then they said, we've got things in the works, but then everyone just focused on the one thing, and they didn't hear the part of there's things in the works. So maybe that's the optimist in me. I'm not sure, but yep. All right. And look, see? Great response. Respect.
Yeah.
So wise. Good call. But yep. I mean, and I'm trying to hide these and I keep showing them. But yeah, so we have about 10 minutes left. It's gone fast. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to look through the stored comments, but if you have questions for Doug or for me about Canva or YouTube, put them in the chat. We can't answer questions that we don't know you have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All
Hit
right,
me
let's
with the
see here.
questions.
We do have one question from Winged Horse Designs. What are your top 3 favorite ways you and Doug use Canva with YouTube? Why don't we take this? I'll name one, you name one. I'll name
Okay.
one, you name one. We'll
Yeah.
go back and forth. All right, so my number 1 favorite way to use Canva for YouTube is to go in the video editor and add things onto the screen. And I'll give you an example, what I mean here in a second, that will give Doug a chance to think too, and for me to think of my second one of what I'm talking about. But I'll use the edit timing function within Canva to pop up things on screen. And I love the video editor for short products. I don't find it really, really helpful for long, extensive products or projects, but I will put in like a minute and a half thing, and I can work on that in that amount of chunk. And then it turns out really good, I think. But let me show you an example. Actually, you know what? I can show you the example by showing you what hold up. I will show you this. I did this one. It's longer, so I'm going to stop it before it gets too far, but I did this one in Canva. Something just happened, and it resulted in me having to press this video really, really quickly. I don't know what that is because I'm filming this before the live stream started. So it could be something as simple as the doorbell rang, someone knocked on my back door, because sometimes my mother-in-law will come to visit. Sometimes I have to emergency run to the bathroom. Sometimes So you see, like I will throw it in there, especially if it's B-roll heavy or I want to do a lot of like little transitions or things like that. And Canva makes that super simple for me. All right, Doug, your turn.
Yeah. Well, my top one has to be thumbnails, YouTube thumbnails. It's probably the bread and butter. There's pre-made templates in Canva for doing thumbnails. So you can start with something that's made, and it just adjusts the colors and the text, maybe some images, but use the basic layout to produce a thumbnail for your videos. And I've been using Canva for thumbnails for probably close to at least 5 or 6 years now. So thumbnails is my number one, and I might start with a template, but then in the end, I sometimes now I'm at this point where I'll make them from scratch in Canva as well. Just start with a blank slate and add elements, and away we go. But it just makes it really easy to do on Canva. There's no tricky Photoshop software tools and tips and to use. It's just really super simple. I love it.
All right. So my number 2 thing would be Magic Write. And that's because I can ask Canva a question. I can ask Magic question. I can ask them a question and maybe ask them to give me 10 alternative title ideas for a video. And let's say that I've got a title that I've got in mind, but I will ask Magic Write to say, give me 10 alternatives to, and then I insert the phrase, and it will give me 10 alternatives. Now, most of the time, I don't use it straight out. I can combine a bunch of different things, and then I come up with the title that I think will resonate with my audience the best. But it's just been a real game changer. And with Canva Pro, you can use it up to 250 times a month. With the free version, I think that it is 25 total, like period, not per month, like total. I would have to look it up, but yeah, that's my second go-to for video or for YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know about that one. That's cool. Saves you going to ChatGPT or somewhere. You can do it all in Canva. Love it.
I use ChatGPT too, but if I'm already in Canva, then I go ahead and use Magic Write.
Absolutely. My next use for Canva would be for channel art for YouTube. Let's keep it YouTube themed. channel art. Like I
Yep.
don't do it often because I don't change it that often, but it's something that you can do. It looks really good. The colors are great. You can bring your own elements in, like your picture, because often people put their face on their channel art. If they're that's if they're not a faceless channel, of course. You can so you can see probably in the background. There's no, that's yours now on the screen
Yep.
behind me. I have my channel art there, or part of it. But yeah, channel art. And I update mine every year now, and I have a subtle year marker in the left hand side of my channel. It says 2023, just sort of sitting over to the side, and so that reminds me to update my channel art. Just give it a refresh every year, just to tweak it a little bit, add some new elements, and keep it up to date. So probably something to consider if you're looking to what's an easy way to do channel art, and Canva is probably the way to go. Trying to knock something up from scratch in Photoshop or GIMP or somewhere, it's a lot of playing around with the dimensions. Canva makes it easy.
Yeah, I did a video which I put in chat, how to get the perfect banner size, because that is really, really difficult, especially if you're new, because what looks good on desktop won't look good on mobile device. And so I've got a really cool trick on how I get mine sized right every single time. And so, yeah. All right. So what else do I love using Canva for YouTube is I love to create my YouTube community posts within Canva. And, there is not necessarily a YouTube community post template that you can use, but you can use the square Instagram post size, and you can grab templates from there. And that works really well because the size is the same size as YouTube. But so that would be my number 3. That may not be my top 3, but right off the bat, those are the 3 that I thought of.
Yeah. That was close to being my number 3, but you've got that one. So I'll pivot slightly to the sideways and just say general social media, because sometimes I'll do something for, I might use it in Twitter or on whatever. Where else do I post? Maybe Facebook or whatever. So any other artwork for social media. But yeah, community posts, as you mentioned, is Canva's great for that. I can knock things up really quick for whether it's a post or for Twitter or whatever. I can pull it up because Canva has an app. I could potentially pull it up on my iPad or on my phone. But I have a computer nearby, so I jump on my Mac and open up the browser, and away I go. I can have something up ready to go in a couple of minutes if it's something I need to get up quickly. So we talked about being efficient and time saving. Canva makes it real simple.
Okay, I see we've got one question, and I've not read it yet, so we're going to see what it is. Can you integrate Canva with other tools and platforms commonly used by social? Okay, so actually Canva Pro does have a content scheduler where you can schedule different projects to those platforms, not YouTube, I don't think.
That's a good question.
I found it a bit clunky. Like, it just was a little too much for me in terms of connecting my social media accounts to Canva. So that is not a pro feature that I take advantage of. I don't know if you can connect it straight to schedulers, but I would imagine that you could download whatever it is and then take it to your scheduler. But
yeah, that's an interesting one, because I'm not sort of streamlined in the scheduling and sort of planning where everything goes and making sure things are getting uploaded to different places. I'm still very hands-on. I do use Buffer when I upload a video and I want to send out, to Twitter and to LinkedIn or wherever I want to send it to. I've just got the free account, but that's about my limit for dabbling with scheduling and things like that. So I basically, for the YouTube, I just do everything on YouTube to get it ready to go, and then and then everything else is just announcing it, or maybe alerting on Twitter that it's a new video. Maybe we'll do that on Threads now as well. And I also do it to LinkedIn and Facebook, because I have a Facebook page. So I just put it in those main places. LinkedIn is an interesting place to post, especially if you do educational content like we do, because people see that, brands see that if it's on LinkedIn. If you sort of doing like announcements, or say, here's my latest video. You can also upload natively to all these platforms as well, but I tend to leave everything on YouTube just because it's in one location. But you can, of course, upload natively to all those platforms.
Adam had a question. He's asked this, and we're going to make this our last question, and then I'm going to let Doug tell everybody where we can find him.
Yes.
What program was Doug talking about?
Oh, we were talking about scheduling. I think we meant when I said buffer. I might have said it rather quickly. It says BUFFER, buffer. And so it's like a scheduling. It's like, whether you use Agora Pulse or Hootsuite and all those other scheduling programs, which I haven't really looked into. But I use the free version of Buffer, which limits you to 3 platforms that you can link up, basically, and just, do social media posts. All
right. So, Doug, if anybody wants to find you outside of here, where can they find you?
You can find me primarily on YouTube, Doug Hewson YT. You can follow me on all the socials, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Threads, which is brand new, Instagram and that. I'm Doug Hewson YT, usually all one word, no spaces, no hyphens, no underscores, just Doug Hewson YT. I have the YT on the end on all the accounts, so it's really easy to find. So yeah, you can find me on any of those platforms, and you can reach out to me if it has a DM like Twitter or whatever. If you need to ask a question, feel free.
All right. So what I did was I just dropped a link down in the chat. And basically, this is a video that is going to help you speed up your video production within Canva and an external video editor. So make sure you click this link right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Nailed it.